Welcome to Economics 101. Today we're exploring the barter system, your guide to how people traded goods in the old days. Part 1, the basics. What exactly is a barter system? Before money existed, there were no banks or credit cards. There was only bartering. It's simply swapping one thing for another. For example, if you had extra wheat and wanted a chicken, you had to find someone who had extra chickens and wanted wheat. A world without money sounds simple, but think about it. How do you set the price of a cow in exchange for apples? The value was based on how much the other person needed what you had. It was a very social way to trade, but it was also quite slow. How it worked: marketplaces were the heart of trade. You walked in with your goods and walked out with what you needed. You had to talk, negotiate, and convince the other person to swap with you. Part 2, the problems. Why did we stop bartering and invent money? The biggest problem was the double coincidence of wants. You needed to find someone who had exactly what you wanted, and they had to want exactly what you were offering. Then there was the indivisibility problem. Imagine you have a cow, but you only want a dozen eggs. You can't chop off a piece of the cow to pay for the eggs. Some things were too big to be divided, leaving you stuck with items you couldn't trade easily. Lastly, the problem of perishables. Items like fruit, milk, or fish rot quickly. If you couldn't find someone to trade with by the end of the day, your items would spoil and you'd lose everything you worked to create. Part 3, evolution. How humanity moved beyond barter. Humans got smart and started using commodity money, items that everyone valued and that didn't rot. Common examples were salt, seashells, beads, and eventually metals like gold and silver. These were easier to carry and lasted much longer. Part 4, modern barter. Is bartering still alive today? Believe it or not, bartering is back. Modern websites allow people to trade goods and services without ever using a dollar. You can trade graphic design work for lawn mowing or trade old books for electronics. Big companies use corporate barter. A company with extra empty space in a warehouse might swap it for advertising space with a media company. It saves them both cash. However, digital bartering still has some of the old problems. You still need to find someone who wants what you have, and the internet makes it easier, but it isn't always as fast as using a credit card. Here is a breakdown of the pros and cons between the two systems. Part 5, review. What did we learn? Key takeaways. Bartering was the origin of trade, but the double coincidence of wants made it difficult. Eventually, money was created to make trading fast and efficient. Thanks for exploring the history of trade. Remember, economics is all about choices.